Let's get to Liz Cheney.
But we're going to be.
Let's get to Liz Cheney before we get to Joseph Robinette Rogan on his lip shit.
Begin with the breaking news overnight out of Wyoming. A clear message from that state about the direction of the Republican Party. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who was reelected easily less than 2 years ago, lost badly last night in her primary fight against her Trump-backed challenger, Harriet Hageman. Cheney, of course, became a target for Trump after she became the face of Republican opposition to the former president, serving as a vice chair of the January 6th committee. Bob Costa has made his way to Jackson, Wyoming for us, and he joins us this morning. Bob, it's a big loss for Liz Cheney. Good morning.
Good morning, Tony. This contest was a prism into this moment inside the Republican Party.
Got fucking comster, dude.
The Trump wing at war with many traditional Republicans. And while Congresswoman Cheney did concede defeat in this race, she did not concede in the battle for the future of the Republican Party.
Our work is far from over.
Surrounded by members of a family that have dominated Wyoming politics for decades, including her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney, Congresswoman Cheney.
Oh no, instead of Liz Cheney in Wyoming, now we're going to have someone who has the same exact positions as Liz Cheney in Wyoming, but also likes Trump more. Oh, womp womp. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, this was, of course it was going to happen. You know, go against the king, you best not miss, Liz. You know what I'm saying? Your daddy knows this. Why didn't you?
Accepted defeat.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again, but it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. That was a path I could not and would not take.
But Cheney was more defiant than wistful, warning Republican voters that their embrace of former President Trump is a threat to democracy.
No American should support.
Liz Cheney did this specifically for the coverage that you're watching currently, that mainstream media is offering her. If you think that she even has a fucking ounce of integrity and did this because she has like some kind of moral code that she abides by, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? That's it. You are a dumbass, you're a dupe, you watch too much mainstream media, maybe you even read too many articles. Liz Cheney did this so that she could get a New York Times bestseller, was probably already being written right now, and possibly a permanent position on MSNBC. Okay? The idea that Liz Cheney was in any meaningful capacity, genuinely conflicted about any of these things is a silly one. Okay? I don't know if she'll run for president on the Democratic ticket or anything like that. Who knows? But I would not be shocked. Okay? This is a person who in 2013 openly came out against gay marriage. Why is that relevant, you might ask? Because her sister is a lesbian. Liz Cheney's sister is famously a lesbian. Her own fucking flesh and blood. So much so that one of the reasons why Dick Cheney didn't run for president and instead controlled the White House from the VP slot was because she was a lesbian. Okay? Now, of course, in her endless effort of whitewashing Liz Cheney's career, she came out and said that she was wrong in opposing same-sex marriage. Okay? You know, she now supports it. Guys, now that she has decided she wants a fucking media career, she supports it. Look closely at Liz Cheney and Donald Trump. It's hard to tell much of a difference. Yeah. Because these guys are demons. House Republican chair elected under Trump, 93% voting record with Trump. Okay. In 2013, Liz Cheney was campaigning against then Senator Mike Enzi of Wyoming when she publicly shared her opposition to same-sex marriage. She said, I do believe that it's an issue that's got to be left up to the states. I do believe in the traditional definition of marriage, she said at the time on Fox News Sunday. Liz Cheney was asked, you're anti-abortion. She said she's pro-life. Yes. She was asked, you're pro-gun rights, and you voted to repeal Obamacare. Do you regret that vote? She said, I do not know. Liz Cheney was also asked whether waterboarding, her father's, favorite form of torture, what her perspective was on waterboarding, which is torture. And she said, well, it's not torture. So if you're one of those fucking weirdos that's like, oh my God, she was girl bossing sweaty, fuck you. Liz Cheney is every bit the fucking demon that every other one of these monsters is. Okay? That's it. The only reason why she came out and said, like, well, she's actually now pro-gay marriage is because doing the whitewashing. She's whitewashing her career, her media career, in an effort to build up her media career. She's whitewashing and becoming more lib-friendly. Here, let's take a look.
Waterboarding, aka torture.
Well, it's not torture.
But you support waterboarding.
I do. Absolutely.
This is liberal. This is the hero of liberals. Okay? Seems like you're just dividing more now by allowing her to try and change. Sometimes I want to drive a car into a wall in a video game at like 120 miles an hour so I could maybe survive the car crash and then end up having the same brain as that chatter so that I can better understand that chatter inside of the video game I'm talking about. Just a slushy, 7-Eleven Slurpee brain. It's torture, but why wouldn't you support it when it's against our enemies? War is war. Are we supposed to ask terrorists nicely to give us what we want? One, terrorism is a designation that is created by, or at least weaponized by, the American government to deny habeas corpus to human beings living on U.S. soil and to justify all manner of cruelty that you subject them to. So that's number one. Number two, you have no idea whether or not these people are legitimately, once you have denied them their habeas corpus, you have no idea if these people have actually violated any sort of fucking crimes or are terrorists to begin with. Number three, and last but not least, and probably the funniest part about it, is that waterboarding is literally ineffective. There have been 0 instances of torture, specifically waterboarding, but torture in general, actually working in getting workable intel out of a suspect. Because when you torture people, they tell you what you want to hear finally in an effort to stop the torture. They will say anything to make you stop. So, this, of course, has been deliberated endlessly on. Maybe you were too young to know, or maybe your brain is jello, so you didn't understand it back then when it was an open and shut case, and you still don't understand it because your brain is still stupid. You have a bad brain. I'm saying you're a stupid person. Okay? Now, of course, some chatters are doing the classic bit. Torture is proven to work. I've seen it on 24. Now, I know that that's a classic bit and not a genuinely held opinion because the person who wrote that died. His name was Antonin Scalia, and he was a U.S. Supreme Court justice. And he unironically defended torture by claiming that he had seen it work on the hit television show 24. For those of you who don't know, that's how deep the American brain rot goes. That is a very real take from a very real U.S. Supreme Court justice. Anyway. Didn't really think that I was going to be addressing like 2008 era torture takes in the chat, but so that's fun. That's fun to think. Fun to think, and it's fun to consider. Love that.
I've had a principle for 60 years. I wrote about it in my new book, The Price of Principle, and that is if there's a dispute and one side wants the truth to come out and the other side says, no, we don't want the truth to come out, always believe the person who wants the truth to come out. That's the person who's telling the truth. And so the Trump people want the affidavit to be released. The Justice Department doesn't. Now, I'm not suggesting releasing the entire affidavit. You can redact the names of witnesses. You can redact the name of agents. You can redact sources and methods. But let's know what they were looking for. I want to know particularly, because to get a search warrant of a safe, you have to have very particular evidence what was in the safe. From reporting, we now know nothing was in the safe. We need to know what was in the closet of Mrs. Trump. We need to know what was in the boxes.
I think I can probably venture a pretty good guess. I think there were probably clothes in the closet.
That's awesome. God damn it. I love the Dersh, and I love Fox News for having him on. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, asking what's in the closet of Melania. But guess what? I mean, that's probably an innocent question, considering that, given his friendship and proximity to Jeffrey Epstein and his defense of Jeffrey Epstein, successful defense of Jeffrey Epstein, Melania may be outside of the age range that my man is used to and interested in, allegedly. So. Gotta love Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer defending Trump here. Yeah. So yeah. That's cool. But getting back to Liz Cheney and how much I fucking despise her and how much I despise people for defending her. Let's wallow in let's celebrate this L one more time.
Support election deniers for any position of genuine responsibility.
Cheney is now the 8th out of 10 House Republicans who voted for Trump's second impeachment following the Capitol attack to be leaving Congress. Trump posted last night that Cheney can finally disappear into the depths of political oblivion, and he congratulated Hageman, who has baselessly claimed the 2020 election was rigged against Trump.
We're all very grateful to President Trump, who recognizes that Wyoming has only one congressional representative, and we have to make it count.
But Wyoming's Republican primary voters ultimately had the final say.
Liz Cheney has done absolutely nothing in the last 6 months except her hatred for Trump.
I mean, that's true, though. Like, that's literally true. If you're a Republican, your entire attitude towards your party hinges on how much you spare Trump's feelings, how good you make Trump feel, because that's what the voters on the ground want. Because the other stuff you're going to do, which Liz Cheney did perfectly, was just like obstructionist, voting against, any sort of Democratic legislation. She did all that. But that stuff is that's the bare minimum. And Republicans don't even expect the bare minimum. They expect a little bit more than the bare minimum from their party, from their legislators. And of course, that additional thing is how much you make Trump feel good about himself. Okay? God King, Daddy Trump. So that's the reason why she lost. She took the fucking L because Trump was like, fuck you. You're a traitor.
Cheney's allies say she is considering a bid for the White House in 2024. But before making that decision, she plans to keep busy as the vice chair of the January 6th committee, which continues to probe the former president's conduct.
I will do whatever it takes to ensure Donald Trump is never again anywhere near the Oval Office, and I mean it.
It was also primary night in Alaska. Former Governor Sarah Palin projected to make the general election in her House race, though she's still waiting to see if she will fill the remainder of her predecessor's term. On the Senate side, Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski.
Queen. Absolute queen. All right, let's take a look. Liz Cheney.
And we want to welcome.
Now, libtard media is literally fucking putting this demon, okay? This actual semen of a demon, this demon semen, because that's what she is, okay? The Cheneys are just fucked across the board. Maybe not the lesbian one. I don't know enough about her. But this idea that, like, Liz Cheney deserves anything other than, I don't know, just experiencing generational trauma for all of the harm that his fucking father caused to the planet is a silly one, okay? Like, if there was truly fucking any sort of karmic justice, if there was any sort of karmic justice, Dick Cheney would have been placed a curse. Dick Cheney would have had a curse placed upon his entire family for at least 7 generations, okay? Which would, of course, include Liz Cheney as well. But there is no karmic justice. Here's the hog that replaced Cheney. She's insane and it's great. I love that.
Joe Biden is the largest or the most destructive human trafficker in our history.
We already covered this earlier. She went full Joker mode. But that's cool. I mean, I like that. I like that. She's great, you know. We have a lot of male jokers out there. Why don't we have one for the ladies? You know what I mean? Why can the boys always? Why do the boys always get to have fun? Why can't the ladies?
Welcome in, Congresswoman Liz Cheney, joining us exclusively this morning from Jackson, Wyoming. Congresswoman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Savannah. Good to be with you.
Well, about last night, you lost by approximately 37 points, a greater margin than even polls had predicted. And I'm remembering back to when we had an interview back in May 2021 when you lost your leadership position. I said, they are coming after you. President Trump wants to go to Wyoming and take you on in the primary. And you said, bring it on. Well, they did. And here we are. And you lost. How do you feel about that now? What's your response today?
Well, look, I think, you know, as we've talked about before, I won my primary by 73 percentage points 2 years ago. The path to that same victory would have been very easy. It was clear how that path would go. But that path would have required that I accept, that I embrace, that I perpetuate the big lie. And I've been very clear at every moment since January 6th that there are some things that have got to be above politics, that there's no political office that's more important than the principles that we take an oath to defend. And I believe that Donald Trump continues to pose a very grave threat and risk to our republic. And I think that defeating him is going to require a broad and united front of Republicans, Democrats, and independents. And that's what I...
Boring. Boring. This is why you lost. No content. You could have been content.
I
could have had
intend
content.
to be part of.
Back to a moment for your race. We all know the old adage, all politics is local. And in focus groups and interviews with reporters, many Wyoming voters said that you had lost your way. You went Washington and you were focused too much on Trump and not the issues that they cared about. One poll showed 61% of likely Republican voters there said you weren't focused on Wyoming issues. Was that the issue? Did you have the wrong focus?
Like, what are Wyoming issues? There are no Wyoming issues. She did what every other fucking Republican is going to do and would have done in that position. Okay? The only problem is the number one Wyoming issues is, no, stop saying fracking or farming or whatever. It's not like she took a legislative stance against Wyoming, okay? No, it literally is. The only issue is that she went up against Donald Trump. I'm not talking about the actual issues on the ground. You're like, oh, it has the highest suicide rate per capita. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about actual issues. What politician has actually fucking done anything good by its constituents? I'm talking about, like, what the people truly care about or what the people claim they care about. When someone says, Liz Cheney's not working at the behest of people in Wyoming. What, you think that fucking Joker woman is? No. Obviously not.
Focus.
No, look, I think I'm very proud of everything that I accomplished, that we accomplished together with the voters of Wyoming over the last nearly 6 years. But it became very clear after Donald Trump attacked the Capitol, sent a mob to attack the Capitol, refused to accept the results of the election, refused to tell his supporters to leave the Capitol when the assault was underway, that this was a threat that we've never faced before. He crossed a line that couldn't be crossed. And as a nation, you don't get the opportunity to debate and discuss any other issue if you simply turn your head away from that kind of a fundamental threat on our republic.
Well, in point of fact, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy did consider this a referendum on your work on January 6th. Former President Trump last night said it was a complete rebuke of that work. And you have said in the past that you thought the voters of Wyoming fundamentally understood how important that fidelity to the Constitution was. Did you get that wrong? Do people see it differently in the Republican Party?
Look, I think what we have seen, not just in Wyoming, but across the country, is that Donald Trump has betrayed Republican voters. He's lied to them. Those who support him have lied to them. And
bro, this is so dumb. Like, Donald Trump lied to his voters in the same way that every Republican has. Like, that's it. Donald Trump has lied to their voters about what? Oh, illegal immigrants stealing the jobs of, the honest white Americans. Okay, every Republican also does that. That's the main plank of your fucking campaign strategy. Donald Trump lied that illegal immigrants also stole votes or stole the election. Guess what? That is just the Republican strategy in an effort to, once again, stop people from voting. In an effort to justify voter suppression mechanisms, the way that Donald Trump and Republicans before him have lied consistently to create like reason for said voter suppression mechanisms to exist. And that lie has always been that illegal immigrants are voting. Also, I do think that it's pretty funny that we are paying attention to Wyoming. This is why I refuse to cover this story at all. But now that she fucking took the fattest L, I will cover this state, which should not exist as a state. Let's be real, and I'm not even certain that it does. It's just ridiculous. It's just like cows and cow farts, and then maybe a couple people.
And they're using people's patriotism against them. They're preying on people's patriotism. Kevin McCarthy made his decision a few weeks after January 6th, knowing what he knew about Donald Trump's role in the assault on the Capitol, when he went to Mar-a-Lago and said, we're going to welcome him back in.
Although I think it got struck down, didn't New York City allow illegals to vote in local elections? Yeah, dude. Totally. Yeah, that's illegals. Yeah, no, totally. They can do that. Yeah. No, they still allow it actually everywhere, not just New York.
Into the party. To me, that's indefensible. This is a great, special, exceptional nation, and we need leaders who have reverence for our Constitution, who are faithful to our Constitution, and who are.
Doesn't California allow that? Everyone, everywhere. I'm telling you, Democrats allow everyone to vote everywhere, all the time, especially for the presidency. Sometimes 3 times.
Going to do what's required to abide by our oath, no matter whether or not it's politically convenient. Kevin McCarthy certainly does not fit that bill, but I know that there are millions and millions of Americans across this country, again, regardless of their party affiliation, who know that there's something more important than partisan politics, and who know we all have to stand together if we want to defend this republic.
The former president said last night you're now headed to political oblivion. You said this fight is just beginning. You've even launched a political organization already. So let's just be straight about it. Are you considering running for president yourself?
Well, what I'm going to do, Savannah, is spend the next several months completing my work in Congress, obviously completing my work representing the people of Wyoming. We have a tremendous amount of work left to do on the January 6th committee. And also, though, I'm going to be making sure that people all around this country understand the stakes of what we're facing, understand the extent to which we've now got one major political party, my party, which has really become a cult of personality. And we've got to get this party back to a place where we're embracing the values and the principles on which it was founded, and talking about, fundamental.
For the record, I'm fully on board with undocumented citizens being able to vote. I want them to be citizens anyway. Just so that there's no confusion. I think undocumented citizens should have a pathway towards citizenship, and then they should be able to vote. So, just make no mistake on that front.
Fundamental issues of civics, fundamental issues of what does it mean to be a constitutional republic.
But Congresswoman, you didn't answer me yet.
Okay, this is so fucking boring. All right, these are the funniest liberal tweets. In her primary defeat, I think Liz Cheney won far more than she lost. I will say this for Liz Cheney. She was wrong about all but one thing. But that one thing was the most important thing. And she gave up more than most of us have to try and save it. Liz Cheney did not win, but she did something that almost no other Republican has done. She stood and fought. Hashtag her work is not done. Oh. This is why I despise liberals, for the record. Like, I need you to understand. This is part of the reason why I despise them. I hate them, and I think they're bad. They're not as bad, but marginally better. Just marginally fucking better. Only by the tiniest of margins. New GOP Liz Cheney converted her House Campaign Finance Committee to a Federal Leadership Political Action Committee hours after losing her primary, a Federal Election Commission filing shows. Nice. Good for her. It's like if my neighbor took a shit in my yard and then repainted my house. Like, thanks, but what the fuck, man? No, that's not true. It's like if your fucking neighbor is burning down your house with the rest of the fucking neighborhood, okay? And then one of your neighbors turns around and says, hey, in the process of burning down your house, he goes, hey, you know what? We should at least fix the windows. And you're like, oh my God, thank you for saying that. I love that you said while you're throwing a Molotov cocktail through my fucking front yard, you said you should fix my windows. And for that, I think you're brave. Putting my marker down that she will be the Dem VP in 2024, I am going to, in a video game, commit Sudoku, okay? I am going to commit Sudoku in a video game. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. I just, oh my God. I can't. This is one hell of an ad for the Democrat running U.S. Senate in South Dakota. The question is whether people will watch it and share it. That's right. Get those fucking clicks, Adam. Get those fucking clicks, baby.
Two men are dropped into Makoche Shicha, the Badlands, in a contest of survival. One is a fifth-generation West River rancher. The other is South Dakota Senator John Thune.
Out here, all are equal before the laws of nature, but some are more equal than others.
By the end of day one, the rancher has set traps and built a shelter. The senator reads the landscape and the wheeling of carrion birds.
On day two, the temperature rises to 107 degrees.
Thune digs for water in the mud of a creek bed. The rancher conserves energy and hunts by night. As morning dawns, one of these men lays dead. The rancher has succumbed to an undetected heart condition. But Senator Thune has platinum government health care, access to specialists, and free prescription drugs.
It was never an equal contest, and wealthy career politicians like John Thune will always win.
Inflation hits the middle class harder, hits their retirement savings faster, hits families with young kids like a freight train. But John Thune never felt it at all.
I'm Brian Bangs, a retired lieutenant colonel with nearly 3 decades of service in the Air Force and the Navy.
I taught the rules of engagement and the law of war at the NATO school, including to many who are now fighting the Russians in Ukraine. Senator Thune has never worked a day outside politics. And after 40 years, he works for Mitch McConnell, not us. He takes millions from drug companies, big corporations, and the super wealthy. And last month, he voted against veterans.
When will the Democratic Party collectively learn their lesson that patriotism is not about like how many fucking Ukrainian Nazis you taught to use a Stinger missile, but patriotism is about fucking just being racist, okay? That's it. You will never out-patriot the Republicans. You could literally have a Republican senator or a congressperson say, motherfuck the American government, I wipe my ass with the flag, and that guy will still be seen as more patriotic than you. You could literally collect the skulls of the Iraqi children that you have killed, and then and showcase that and say, look how American I am. Look at how much I love America. I did this. I killed a bunch of 14-year-old Iraqi children and I collected their skulls. I am the real American. You can say that as a Democrat, and then the other guy will be like, nah, fuck that. You're a piece of shit. I'm the real American because I say the N-word and I defend my right to say it. Boom, it's over. That guy won. That guy is more patriotic than you. American patriotism is not about your fucking confirmed kills, okay? It's not about how much you rode for the fucking military-industrial complex. Shut the fuck up. You will get John Kerry Swift voted out of that fucking election every single time. It is not a game that you can win. Jesus Christ, just drop that. Just drop it. It's not going to happen. Holy fuck. It's just so funny because like Donald Trump literally said, American hero and media darling, John McCain was a fucking loser for being caught and tortured by the Vietnamese army, okay? The North Vietnamese army. And they loved him for it, okay? You're a fucking idiot. Every Democratic consultant needs to be just thrown in jail. How? How are you still putting this up? Like, how are you still being like, yeah, man, this fucking, no, I'm gonna out-patriot these guys. No. Patriotism is not about actually serving in the military. It's about the top of the hour ad breaks and avoiding them. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay? By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. You can also avoid it if you get lucky and get gifted a sub. But not many are lucky enough to get gifted a sub. Here's the 1-minute ad break now.
veterans health care because Mitch McConnell told him to. I'm running for the U.S. Senate because his America is a bad land for the rest of us, where hard work, military service, and personal responsibility don't matter as much as wealth and personal power. South Dakotans want a square deal. We want the wealthy to pay their share of taxes. We want politicians to respect the will of the people. We want the government out of women's personal health care decisions. We want respect for the sovereignty of native land. And we want term limits, because 40 years in politics is way too long. I'm Brian Banks, and I can beat John Thune out here and in November. Because surviving isn't enough. These folks...
What is he, 6'11"? What the fuck? Bro, he is freakishly tall. I know that, like, politicians are usually pretty tall, but this man is, like, way too fucking tall, bro. You should have put them on a platform to make yourself seem normal, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, my man is 6'20", dude. What the fuck?
Deserve a whole lot more.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate this political ad? I mean, this stuff, this shit sucks. This stuff is weird. This part is weird. Just say what you're fucking, I don't know. Just say what you believe in. And then move on. Like, you have some good ideas in here.
The Air Force and the Navy.
Like, homie's like, dude, I was in the Air Force and the Navy. Dude, I lasered so many fucking people this age. Okay? From a warehouse in New Mexico. Like, you don't even understand. Okay? I did my job. Which was war crimes. Okay? I did my job. I killed, like, literally not a single Pakistani child under the age of 16 was left alive. Okay? Like, I would just rip them. I would rip them to shreds. Non-fucking stop. Okay? Please vote for me. I'm so patriotic. Please. Yeah, this is going to get California wine mom liberals who want this bald fuck to destroy their ass cheeks, okay, into dumping millions of dollars into this dude's campaign only to fucking lose by 40 points. It is just the never-ending Democratic Party platform. Okay? Find, like, the most boring fucking military cardboard cutout dickhead who then loses to a guy who has not done physical activity since 1943, okay? I just looked at his website and his policies seem pretty good, but the fact that I'm in South Dakota and for the first time I heard this man was on the Hasanabe broadcast doesn't bode well. Yeah. Like, go vote for him. I mean, great. He's better than the fucking other guy, right? But it doesn't matter.
I taught the rules of engagement and the law of war at the NATO school.
I taught the rules of engagement and the law of war at the NATO school. Oh, man. People in South Dakota are going to love that one. They're like, wow, really? Great. Thank you. Sir, thank you. Thank you. I mean, this is what I cared about in South Dakota. This was, oh, man, you were at the NATO school? That's awesome. Oh, they fucking love it? No, they don't, man. No, they fucking don't. No, they don't. Nobody gives a fuck about NATO in South Dakota. Maybe 12 people. What the fuck are you talking about? Literally never bring up NATO. If you want to win a domestic campaign, especially in somewhere like South Dakota, you're like, why? Why are you bringing up NATO, dude? No one cares. No one knows what it is. No one fucking cares. Shut the fuck up. Donald Trump literally ran on saying, we got to make all the NATO countries pay more. They're stealing our funds. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's just him saying he's been in leadership roles before. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You want to know why it doesn't matter? Because it's fucking whack. It's like saying you're the coach of the fucking Cincinnati Bengals, okay? Like, okay, great. You were a coach. Who cares? Did I even say the fucking right team? I don't know. Aren't they losers? The Bengals went to the Super Bowl. Okay, I don't know. The fucking what was the one in Florida? God damn it. Not the Dolphins. Detroit Lions. The Cleveland Browns. Jaguars is what I was thinking of. Thank you. Dolphins are bad too. You were at the game? I don't fucking remember. Talk about Liz Cheney yet? Yeah, we did. Anyway,
now fighting the Russians in Ukraine. Senator Thune has never worked a day outside politics. And after 40 years,
just be like, look at my opponent. He just straight up looks like a demon. I look like a demon too, but at least I'm taller than him. I can dunk on him. You know what I mean? I can dunk on him. I can dunk on his ass, dude. The Fetterman approach. I mean, like Fetterman's going up against like a fucking weirdo. So anyway, the Browns gave their quarterback a 9-figure contract after 20+ lawsuits of sexual misconduct and assault. Oh, dude, goated. Okay. We're done with Liz Cheney. I don't want to fucking listen to her talk anymore. Wait, actually, I do want to hear the Wyoming voters shit on her. Oh my God, that is the biggest gulp.
I don't think
this is a small, by the way. This is a Wyoming small. For the European audience, what you are looking at right now is someone drinking the smallest beverage container.
I think I would support her in a presidential run.
No, please, no.
I wouldn't support her as a dog catcher.
I think she should do whatever she's felt best for herself and for the nation.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And we've heard that too, but I don't know that she will if she loses here.
2024, it's way too soon for her. I think there's going to be too many things in her background that people are going to remember. 2 years from now, no.
I think she would be a great option for our nation, and I mean, more power to her if she decides
That's
to
a lib.
do that in 2024.
I'd vote for her. Why is that? We need women, strong women with powerful decision-making and fair.
Even though I support her and I think she's a better candidate, I still think that Trump did a lot for Wyoming and that we've actually been hurt by our new president. So
I'm not a Cheney fan.
No, I think she should just go back to Virginia and get another job. She's redoing her resume today.
She's right, by the way.
Like a good Democrat, it looks like.
I don't see her getting a whole lot of support from Republicans, and by virtue of the fact she's trying to get Democrats to vote for her, and she's been pushing a lot of Democratic stuff, yeah, she should just go ahead and change parties. Why lie about who you are?
I have no use for people that quit the brand to ride for, another brand. That's,
Exactly. They're saying she's a fake friend to Donald Trump, which is the most important part of your... It's the most important part of the fucking political understanding of many Americans. All right, Joe Rogan is lib the fuck up. First and foremost, he pushes back on, I guess it says minors should be forced to carry a rapist baby. By the way, being lib the fuck up is literally like just having at least a crumb of humanity left in you, okay? That's, when I say Joe Rogan is lib the fuck up, I mean it like sarcastically, okay? So don't mistake that. I'm not being serious about that, obviously. Okay? Let's hear.
Women who have been raped who should not have to fucking carry some rapist baby. There's women who have been sexually assaulted before the age of 14.
There's also, hold on though.
But hold on, don't stop me.
Okay.
That's real too. And we all have to agree. We have to agree on both of those things.
There are also though, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
Oh, Babylon B. He said, don't stop me. Is that what he said? Damn, Babylon his B. Babylon his B, Babylon B. What the fuck? God damn.
That point, but I will say there are people who have been born of rape and are alive right now and are pro-life. And they go around speaking, talking about how I had a right to live. And they will go out there and make an argument, a pro-life case. And they're born of a rape.
You don't have a right to tell a 14-year-old girl she has to carry a rapist baby.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that's real.
Yeah, notice how he's not talking about the fucking mother in that situation. You know, the little girl. He's like, oh, well, there's people who are like, I have a life to live. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. That's not an argument you can make. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't have the right to tell my 14-year-old daughter she has to carry her rapist baby. You understand that?
To look that woman in the eye who was born of a rape.
Yo, I love when Republicans get that way because, like, Joe Rogan is, like, genuinely fucking agitated. Look at this. Wait, ain't you Nathaniel B? What the fuck is Nathaniel B?
To look that woman in the eye who was born of a rape.
Do you understand that? That's a 14-year-old child. If a 14-year-old child gets raped, you say that they have to carry that baby?
I don't think two wrongs make a right. I don't think murder. I don't think murder is an answer to. I don't think murder fixes a rape.
That's awesome. That's great. When you got Babylon B over here fucking popping off like this, you're going to lose the audience. The end of the video merges so seamlessly with the beginning that you could almost watch the video for an eternity and think they were just making the same arguments over and over again. It's so dry, but hilarious if you're a fan of Tim. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to fucking watch that. It's 11 hours long. Nathaniel B.
That shit was trash. You can't handle me. Hold up. Ain't you Nathaniel B?
What is
that? Get the fuck out of the pool! That shit was trash. You can't handle me.
What? Okay. I don't even know how to respond to that. I don't know what the fuck was going on there. But Joe Rogan also had a good guest on.
Well, it's an honor to meet you, Derrick, especially after such high...
Josh Dubin and Derrick Hamilton from the Innocence Project. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Tell me your story. Like, what happened to you?
Well, thanks for having me, and Josh, thanks for the accolades. You know, I was a 17-year-old kid running around Brooklyn at a time when Brooklyn was terrible. And I was a product of my environment. I was doing little robberies and, little dumb stuff that adolescents do. And I got on the radar of the police department. They used to search me all the time, pat me down, throw me up on a car, regular stuff that happened in that community. One day, a man was killed about 5 a.m. by some older guys in the neighborhood. The police had the identification of their car. They called the guy in, and he somehow told them he rented me the car and that I was the one that bought the car back and told him that I had committed the crime and that I had shot the guy by accident. And that was my first real experience with the criminal justice system because it was a murder. I'm like, murder? I did a couple of robberies. I did some petty stuff, but murder, that's not me. So, you know, what was amazing to me is, number one, nobody would have gave me their car at 17 years old, right? Any cop would have known that this guy wouldn't have gave me his car. But they arrested me and they charged me with murder. And
I wonder why the police. I wonder why the police did that. I can't for the life of me think of why the police would do that to a young black 17-year-old boy.
I was convicted by a jury because they admitted grand jury testimony of a witness who came before the court and said, I never seen this guy at all. The police made me lie in the grand jury and say that I seen this guy. I'm not testifying. I refuse to testify. I'm not going to get up there and perjure myself. The judge told the prosecutor that day that they was dismissing the case, that if they don't get another witness, this case is going out of here. Judge's name was Lombardo back then. This was 1983. I went back to Rikers Island that day. We came back the next day, and the judge said that he thought about this all night, and he felt that the only person would benefit from this witness not testifying would be me. Therefore, he was going to allow the prosecutor to admit their grand jury testimony as evidence in chief at my trial, and I would forfeit my right to confront the witness and let the jury hear the truth that she never saw the crime. So that was my first real experience. I was a young knucklehead. The lawyer that I had at the time, Candace Kurtz, said, look, young man, get your head out your ass and you better read these cases and you better see what's going on, like they're railroading you. She took the stand and told the judge what the witness told her. And I was convicted. I was sentenced to 25 years of life. And it was at that moment that I know that I had to study law, that I had to really dig deep in the books, and I did it. New York State, thank God, had a law library. They had all the books in the world. All you had to do was apply yourself. And I spent the next 5 and 6 years working on my case. In 1987, the appellate division in that case found that the judge had no evidence whatsoever.
I'm no advocate for Hammurabi shit, but like honestly, that judge should go to jail. Like, you know, if fair is fair. You go to jail. You go to jail for the duration.
That me or anybody acting on my behalf had threatened this witness, did anything improper. And that the judge was right. There was no evidence that can prove that. So they reversed the conviction, and I was able to get out of prison after 6.5 years. Unbeknownst to me, there was a rogue cop by the name of Louis Garcella who felt that I didn't do enough time for this conviction. He didn't like the appellate division decision. 8 months later, I was in New Haven, Connecticut at a unisex salon that I had owned at the time. He came in that store and arrested me, told me I was going back to Brooklyn for a murder. And I'm like, a murder? Like, this can't be true. Like, again? Like, how many times has this happened? Went to New York. I was processed. About a year later, I went to trial. I was convicted. They brought a witness in by the name of Jewel Smith, who said that she was present at the murder when her boyfriend was killed, that I was a gunman. I had a gun in my hand, and I shot this individual several times with this gun. But her original statement to the police said she wasn't there, that she never saw this crime. She was around the corner at a store. When she came back, her boyfriend was dead. The jury never heard that statement. But in any event, the ballistics evidence proved that this guy was shot with 2 different guns, that he wasn't shot in the building where she said he was shot at, but he was shot outside in the street. Despite this evidence, I was convicted. After I was convicted was when I learned that she had first told the cops at the crime scene she never saw the crime, but she had told it to a different detective. So I made a pro se motion to set aside the verdict. And in the motion, I argued that this detective that never came in that she gave the statement to could prove my innocence. And the judge ordered a hearing. For a year, he said, I can't give this guy a day in jail, let alone 15 years, which was the minimum. I want this witness to come back. The prosecutor said, I'm not calling him. And the judge said, if you don't call her back, this case is going to a new trial, right? They called her back, and she admitted that she never saw the crime, that the detective, Louis Garcella, told her what happened and told her that if she didn't get up here and say that I committed the crime, she was going to jail. She was on parole. Her boyfriend was a felon that just got out. She had kids. They said, you're going to jail. She said, what was I supposed to do? Here's the system telling me this, that if I don't come in and say this, I'm going to jail. And I came in and said it. The judge ruled a year later that, again, he felt that I was...
Guys, if the criminal justice system can extract classified documents from Mar-a-Lago, I mean, of course this is going to happen. You know what I mean? On the one hand, you have this, which is, whatever. A man's life is taken from him unjustifiably by an unjust criminal justice system that is designed to churn out these sorts of results. And on the other hand, you have a billionaire fail son who failed upwards his entire life, have a little bit of trouble with the federal authorities because he took some classified information and then refused to give it back when asked kindly. For the record, this is why I say these people are fucking ridiculous. Like the people who are like, oh my God, if it can happen to them, it can happen to me. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up, okay? It's already happening.
He said there was a common thread of strings. I manipulated this evidence. Again, I called the detective. The detective came in and said exactly what the witness said, that she told him she didn't see the crime, that she was beat up and took to the priest and then told she was going to jail. And I had that jury.
Well, this case is more of a cop disliking him for various reasons. Oh, yeah, totally. It's just one cop. Let's not examine the system that has allowed one cop to be petty in this regard. Or let's not examine the system that allows a cop like that to continue operating. Let's just look at one cop. Yeah, just one bad apple.
You heard that, there'd have been different results. At the trial, they told the jury that her first statement was the most important statement in this case. And that when the police arrived on the scene, she didn't hesitate.
But even when a dude is describing every single aspect of a system that failed him, that unjustifiably took his freedom away, you're still like, well, I mean, I don't know. It was just a cop. A cop did this.
She said Derrick Hamilton, somebody I know my entire life, committed the crime, which wasn't true. In fact, she said the truth, which she didn't see the crime, that she was somewhere else. I was sentenced to 25 years of life. I filed numerous post-conviction motions after post-conviction motions. Every time a judge gave me a hearing, every time he said he can throw the case out, every time he said he was troubled by this conviction, the prosecutor would come in and tell him I'm a bad guy, that this is not somebody you want to release, that, you know, they put imagined harms and make a judge think that I was the most terrible person in the world. And
Multiple judges failed him. Prosecutors failed him. Well, not even failed him. Like, they unjustifiably kept him in detention. Multiple cops. He even has empathy for the fucking other person who offered false testimony. That's insane.
Time. You know, I filed numerous motions, numerous post-convictions. I did everything you could imagine to prove my innocence, but to no avail. I began going to parole board around 2009. It was a very traumatic experience for me because at that time, the parole board wanted me to admit guilt, and I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to come in and say I killed somebody I didn't kill. I'm not doing that. I don't care what you say, and I had to challenge them and fight them for 2 years. And then my family went out in protest, and we got a Daily News article put out that said that I would be free if the court would just basically give me justice. If they just give this guy a fair shot, he'd be home. So it changed the mentality of the parole board. They looked at all of my evidence, and they said, you know, based on the evidence that you presented here, we believe in your innocence. Like, this evidence speaks for itself. Even the judge said you was innocent. I don't know what you're doing here all these years. And they released me. And at that point, I began a crusade. Because when I was in prison, there were several guys. We built something called an Act Your Innocence team. Guys who I was working in the law library, so I would read guys' case and check them out. So what I had to do was get families together, get people to come together and bring their families and say, look, let's send these people to City Hall. Let them know there's a lot of us in here. It's not just me. It's white, there's black, there's a bunch of us in here that got the same issue, that they're procedurally barring us. They're not looking at our case, they're just kicking it into the garbage. We don't want to hear it. Get out of here, right? Because they can. They had the power. So when we start bringing attention to these cases, it changed the whole dynamic. So when I got out, I joined that group, Family and Friends of the Romans Convictions. We had a PR guy by the name of Lonnie Sori who was helping us keep it together. And we just began blasting the prosecutors. We began protesting outside their offices and getting rid of them. The first one we was able to get rid of was Charles Hines in Brooklyn, the prosecutor that sent me to prison. We was able to remove him and put a progressive prosecutor in that agreed that he would look at these convictions if he was elected. So he got in, and in 2 years, he exonerated 22 people. And he found that it was a systemic racist problem in Brooklyn that was convicting the wrong people. Fortunately for me, the New York Times.
Oh shit! I guess it wasn't. Oh fuck! I guess it wasn't just one bad apple. I guess it was a couple bad apples.
Times reporter called me, and I believe it was 2000.
I need you to understand that conviction or that investigation is an insane investigation to even conduct. You end up literally investigating the very same people that are the police end up policing the police, okay? Which is precisely why in so many of those circumstances, plenty of them get to have long and wonderful careers and get fat pensions by the end of it, okay? The idea that they actually concluded or conclusively found racism within the way that policing was occurring in this situation implies that it had gotten so out of fucking control that a larger federal agency or federal government had to step in and say, you got to stop, dude. What the fuck are you doing? You're doing too much racism. Not the level of racism that is allowed, where we can like kind of look the other way.
12. And they said, why are people afraid of the police? And I just said, are you kidding me? Why are they afraid of the police? And I told them names of guys that I knew that was in prison that this cop set up. And a lawyer had contacted me and said that he was working on a case which this cop framed another guy by the name of David Ranta. And he said, in 2 weeks, there's going to be an article in New York Times that exposed this cop. And I told the New York Times reporter that. And I said, look, in 2 weeks, if it comes out, you come back to me and I'll take you to these guys. And she came back, Frances Robert. She came back and I took her to these guys. She got the prosecutor to agree to look at 50 of these cops' cases, 50 of them. And, 20 was exonerated so far, those guys. And I was exonerated in 2015. In 2014, for the first time in New York history, the Appellate Division's Second Department ruled in my case that a freestanding actual innocence claim can be recognized under post-conviction motion. And they said that anybody that's innocent, the courts could no longer procedurally bar you. They got to reach the merits of your contentions. They just can't say, well, you should have raised this before, or your lawyer failed to do this before, or you should have did. You got to reach the merits of it. Get to the bottom line. Is this guy innocent or not? And when they gave me that opinion, it kind of like in itself exonerated me, because the prosecutor now had to hear my witnesses. I had alibis. I had police officers who said, look, this guy was in New Haven, Connecticut, not Brooklyn when this murder happened. We know because we've seen him there. We was at a party with him. I had hotel receipts. I had many witnesses that could verify where I was at on a date in the town you kept.
For the record, police or prosecutor misconduct is at the root of half of exoneration cases. At half. Specifically, just prosecutorial misconduct is 1 in 20, but when you add police misconduct into the matter, that's half. You understand? Fucking half, dude. That's insane. Those people should be going to jail. Like, we're not talking like a witness fucked up. We're not talking like, additional evidence came out. This is straight up like wrongly convicted black defendants were slightly more likely than whites to be victims of misconduct, especially in drug and murder investigations. Official misconduct.
Was murdered. The courts was just throwing that evidence in the garbage. We, in fact, proved who committed the crime. The real murderer was present when the cops arrived. He was on parole for manslaughter. They took his name down, but never even investigated who he was. So we had a lot of evidence. We had a witness who was there, who identified who was there, identified why the guy was shot. There was a 911 call that said 3 male blacks fleeing in the red car. He admitted they was in a red car. So they was just overwhelming evidence of my innocence, but courts was just throwing it in the garbage because of the prosecutor lied to them and said he's a bad guy. So my experiences taught me that, there's a lot of innocent people. I was in prison, man. Look, one thing about prison, and I tell people, they say, hey, everybody says they're innocent. That's not true, right? They may tell a lawyer that, but they're not going to tell a guy in the neighborhood with them that. I know you're guilty. I was with you. I know what you did. You told me. Everybody tells me. You're from the same neighborhoods. So it's a small minority of people that's in the law life.
By the way, this is part of the reason why I always laugh at motherfuckers who say like, oh, Gavin Newsom is releasing 75,000 criminals into the streets tomorrow. Bro, you don't understand the process in which like there is a parole board that looks at your fucking good behavior. You don't know how many fucking awful situations you've had to dodge to even get to that level. Okay? You have no fucking idea. When you go into prison, you're automatically a criminal. Even if you went to prison under, improper filings or prosecutorial misconduct or whatever, it doesn't matter. You go into prison, now you're a criminal. You have to do crimes to survive in prison. Okay? That means you were able to dodge all of that despite of all of the, despite of your interest in surviving prison that causes you to do literal fucking crimes. Okay? You then get in front of a fucking parole board. You get in front of a fucking parole board and they still don't let you out.
Library every single day. If you go to the yard, guys are working out in the weight pile, right? They're playing basketball, but the innocent guys is in that law library every single day trying to find a way out. And that was me. Every single day. And I studied every book in there. I taught law classes, and I became very good at it. I mean, I was surprised. I went to college, right? When the lawyer gave me the first 2 cases and I read them, I was surprised how well I knew the cases. I was surprised how I comprehended them. And it was because of that that I kept going. And I found a civilian who liked me. He was working in the law library. And the first test I got was a 44. And he said, look, man, I'm not going to waste my time.
You got to explain what that is. What a 44?
A 44 was my grade on the test. I took a test. The first test he gave me was on the Constitution of the United States. I had to learn the 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendment. And I failed. I was playing. And he said, look, you're not going to waste my time. You're smarter than that. He challenged me. Next time I came back, I got a 97. So from that point on, I just started studying. I start gravitating to the older guys that knew more than me because I was young. They was willing to teach me, and I was like a young sponge, and I just loved what I did. I became passionate about it, and that's why I'm here now.
Derrick, what kind of repercussions are there for cops that do things like this?
None. I mean, in our case, the statute of limitations has ran out on this cop. And let me just tell you about this cop. He didn't just do it in the police department. He left the police department, went into the DOE, the Department of Education, and he did it there. He framed the guy in the DOE. They later found out the guy did nothing wrong. They had to reinstate him. This is just his nature and his character.
He just gets away with it?
He gets away.
What's his name?
Louis Scarcella.
And he's out there still?
He's out there. He's still getting a pension. The city is still paying this guy. We still got cases today that we are fighting in court for him. James Jenkins, Nelson Cruz. They still actual cases that we're litigating.
How many people do you think that guy wrongfully put in prison?
I'll tell you something that I didn't even tell you, Josh, about this one. And this guy.
By the way, for those of you who don't know, he is a retired detective for New York City Police Department who initially came to prominence during the crack epidemic of the 90s and 80s, earning frequent commendations before many of his investigations were overturned in the 2010s. Like he's got a fucking Wikipedia page for his misconduct.
Worked on over 200 cases. My father was killed in 1988. He was the detective on that case. And I'll tell you something about that. He said that one of the guys snatched a confession out of his hand and ate it. I didn't believe that. I said, as much as I want people who may be responsible for my father's death, I can't trust this guy. I can't take nothing he say to be truth, right? Just recently, that case was overturned. Samuel Edmondson case because of his sloppy police work. So he says 200 cases he worked on. I would like to believe at least half of those guys are innocent.
Well, a lot of them have been exonerated. How many Scarcella exonerations have there been?
20 to date.
How does a guy not just get locked up immediately for that?
Oh, I wonder how. Well, maybe it has something to do with the attitude that rich guys like you constantly fucking channel through massively popular media outlets about backing the blue and how difficult of a job the police have. And they're out there scaring the big bad guys, black guys specifically, that are breaking windows and rioting all the fucking time. Maybe the reason maybe the reason why they get away with this is because their entire purpose is to defend rich people against the scourge of poor people. Seems real difficult to frame hundreds of people. Is not. Not when the system allows it. Not when you get commendations for it. I don't really think Joe backs the blue that hard. Oh, come on, dude. Since COVID, since he moved to Austin, that motherfucker hasn't been back in the blue. He's been backing that ass directly into the blue cock, okay? Every day. God damn, dude. The only time he's like not back in the blue is when it was like, the George Floyd, Derrick Chauvin case. That's it.
And when he testifies, he has 2 lawyers with him now, right? I've never seen a witness come to court and have 2 lawyers standing with him. We object to it all the time, but I mean, this is how much of a criminal he is. He had 2 lawyers standing with him all the time, and trying to protect his rights. And he don't remember anything now. Like he don't remember,
Yeah. So what? Police are defunded too much. If they had more funds, maybe they could do more racist actions like this. You know what I mean?
Of course, he don't recall nothing. You got to bring the police reports to him and say, that's your signature. Did you do this? But he don't remember anything, of course. Selectively, he don't remember anything.
What's wrong with Back in the Blue? Man, I don't even know where to fucking begin, dude. I don't even know where to fucking begin. Holy shit. What's wrong with Back in the Blue? Everything. Public perceptions. Scarcella stated in 2018, I've done absolutely nothing wrong. I stand by my cases 100%. He has not faced any legal repercussions since retiring in 1999. In reviewing his cases, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office has not charged Scarcella with breaking any laws during his NYPD service. I wonder what's wrong with Backing the Blue. 20 convictions overturned. 20 innocent lives were stolen as a consequence of this dude's fucking piece of shit actions. Okay? And yet, no laws were violated in that process. And it's true, no laws were probably violated because the laws are designed in a way to fuck over poor people, broke people, marginalized people. That's their fucking job. That's why if you back the blue, you're a fucking idiot, okay? Oh, man. Even if Scarcella had, as a former prosecutor explained, he would not face legal charges because the statute of limitations is expired on his investigations. Although his 18 overturned cases have cost the state more than $53 million in legal damages, not including years of staff costs, Scarcella continues to receive his NYPD pension as state law prevents him from being stripped of it. Michael Palladino, president of the Detectives Endowment Association, has defended Scarcella as a political scapegoat of those with a desire to rewrite history. No, I do not think it's possible to fucking be a cop and change the system from within. No, I do not. I do not think that that is possible. If you are, quote unquote, a good cop, you will either be found suicided with 2 fucking bullets in the back of your head, or you'll be fired. The only cops that get fired are fucking ones that, actually speak out. There is no such thing. Were found in Big Bear in a burnt down cabin surrounded by the LAPD. Yeah, I mean, that's Dorner. Can't corner the Dorner. Yes, I did watch We Run the City on HBO. It was fucking incredible. It was great. And I highly recommend everyone to watch it. Fucking pieces of shit, man. Holy fuck. Love that Joe's still like, oh, what do you... Why is it like this? I don't understand. Why is it like this? All right, we're going to move on to some more fun shit, okay? We're done with the fucking crazy shit. We're done with the madness. We're going to move on to some more fun shit. Let's start with this one.
Back and forth with Andrew Tate.
This is a guy who missed a few hugs of his mother. I mean, there's videos of him slapping women around online. I couldn't give a shit about Andrew Tate.
Would you box him?
If he come up to me in my face, I would absolutely punch him in the face. But am I going to make effort to go running every morning? No. I don't care. Comes to me, I've got a business to run. I'm not going to take time out to worry about Andrew Tate. I'm not like him. I'm not daddy's little rich boy. I got to earn my shit to get here.
Oh, did he come from money?
Oh, he come from money.
No way.
I'm not just talking about the human trafficking money that he's got either. I'm talking about this will keep him going for another 4 fucking years, will it? You know what I mean?
Don't worry, you guys are going to be best friends in like 2 years.
Yeah, I'll be making money off of his fucking dumps as well. So, Andrew, you're fighting Floyd Mayweather? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. To be fair, Battle of the Rapists, him and Floyd, that would make for a good one. To be fair.
Funny. Apparently, the top G's are returning to school. Have y'all heard of a sexist, misogynist, disgusting excuse of a human being known as Andrew Tate? Well, I promise all your middle school and high school boys have, and they're addicted to his content. Just this week, I've had 6 convos with families about their sons saying shit like women are inferior to men, women belong in the kitchen. Not only are they making these misogynistic claims in class, but are really refusing to do their assignments if they're sourced from a woman. I don't believe this. I don't believe anything on Reddit. I'm sorry. I don't believe anything on TikTok. I don't believe anything on Reddit. Even though I do believe that that's probably real, it's on Reddit. This is wonderful. Quiet quitting. Gen Z's dishing the hustle culture to avoid burnout. I love that under capitalism, okay? Under capitalism, when you just do your job and like nothing more, that's called quiet quitting now. It's like, oh no, it's called doing your fucking job and not putting in extra effort. Why would you do that? I love that. I love that article. Workers are now quiet quitting or quitting the idea of going above and beyond at work. He explains how he sees quiet quitting, a term he said he recently learned. You're still performing your duties, but you're no longer subscribing to the hustle culture mentality that work has to be your life. The reality is, it's not. He's part of spreading a trend that's basically telling people to take it easy at work, stop taking on added responsibilities outside of the role's description, or work for extra hours. Burnout isn't new. Millennials practically invented the word, but their younger colleagues and some millennials themselves are trying to avoid burnout and simply do the job that's asked of them. It's the latest salvo in a pandemic-era tug-of-war between managers and junior colleagues all over work-life balance. Nice. They're making the hustle culture of the 2010s a distant memory and replacing it with something of a comeback of the Gen X's 1990s era slacker culture. Are you taking part of the quiet quitting trend? Yes, 74%. Yeah, nobody wants to work anymore. And by that, I mean nobody wants to fucking slave away endlessly for maybe the prospect of a raise that you may or may not get. That's crazy. Fuck that. Suck me.